For the last 15 years, I've been on Room to Grow, Green Force, Critical Listing, Home to Win. I've been the gardening guy for HGTV and now for Cityline with Frank Ferragini. And for the last 15 years, every time I do one of these presentations, the one question I'm always asked from every single person that sits in there is, where did the G in HGTV go? It used to stand for gardening. But it got smaller and smaller and smaller. You see, when I started 15 years ago, all these people had television shows. Oh, there's Kathy. All these people had television shows, and they all talked about the value of perennial gardens and beautiful flowers and 4 seasons of interest, and they encouraged homeowners to do projects like this, where they, layered color and texture and purchased plants from garden centers. And then I came along. I am part of the reason why there's no G in HGTV anymore. Because when I was asked to do my first TV show, Room to Grow, they said, we want to do a gardening show on fantasy gardens. And I said, that sounds terrible. And they looked at me and I said, right now the biggest show on TV is Designer Guys. And they talk about these beautiful indoor rooms. Let's do that outside. Let's do outdoor rooms. And we'll show people low maintenance gardens. Low maintenance. That was sort of the end of the gardening revolution, because that really resonated with the group of homeowners that were buying houses at that point in time. Low maintenance outdoor rooms. So instead of having these active garden clubs that were out and in the community, we started having people focusing on their own backyards, just their own space. And the garden clubs started to see a real hit. And the landscape designers, who used to design like this by hand, had to change the game. Because the design that people wanted weren't about the plants and the flowers anymore. They started to include patios and decks, outdoor kitchens and fireplaces, pergolas. These are the types of things that homeowners wanted. So the landscape designers went away from this into a different direction. And that continued for the last 15 years. Gardens like this anymore, most homeowners look at and say, I'd love to visit that, but for me, it's too much work. I can't do it. And those types of gardens are really disappearing every day, which is scary for us in the gardening community, especially ones who want to make money selling to the gardeners. Home gardeners 15 years ago used to do hand designs like this. And that used to be acceptable. And they used to do it themselves. And they'd sketch it out and say, I want to do this and this and this. And they'd do research. We now know in the industry, the amount of time that people are spending doing their own garden designs is less than 30 minutes per year. People are hiring other people to do the work for them. They do a little bit of research, and yes, there's always different examples of somebody who's gone to a lot of effort. But by and large, on the whole, homeowners don't plan gardens the way they used to. This type of garden, full of flora and fauna and colors and textures, like I said, gone. If I showed you this picture, and I've showed this picture to so many home shows, people all go, ooh. And then I ask, how many people have that garden? And nobody put up their hand. I said, how many people would like to visit that garden? Everybody put up their hand. The difference is they look at that again and they think work. And our lives are busier and busier every single day. And they think, I can't do that. I will kill everything. In fact, in the market today, I work with Century 21 and Better Homes and Garden Real Estate. If you have gardens like that in the front of your house is worth less money than the person beside you with just the green lawn. That actually distracts from buyers. They look at it and think, I'm going to kill all of that. I don't want to take that responsibility. And what's the number one thing homeowners are worried about today? The value of their home. Homes are investments. People actually admit to saying that I'm planning to sell my home and take some of that money out for retirement. So not only are homes of investments, they're also part of retirement packages. Then it gets really scary. People think, I can't retire unless I sell my home for lots of money, so I'm going to make decisions about my home that make more money. And unfortunately for us, gardening is perceived negatively. And the networks jumped on board. Now, all the TV shows that include gardening are being done by Brian Baumler and Mike Holmes, Paula France. They have no idea about plants, but they understand decks and patios. And what do the real estate agents say? Decks and patios make you money. Put in a bigger deck, put in a bigger patio, go smaller with the plants, because that scares people. Big livable space, that's a good thing. And this low maintenance movement has been just sweeping all of North America. People want less and less work, but they want the idea that they can go away for the weekend and come back and their backyard looks exactly the same. You do a show like this and you see more and more product designed to encourage that low maintenance lifestyle. Less work, beautiful outdoor spaces, more freedom for the homeowner. And when you're selling these products, there are 3 groups of individuals in the marketplace right now that have 3 different sets of needs. And I'm going to hit on every single one of them for you. But this low maintenance movement, the key, or the moment that this started, is the moment that we went from perennial collections to landscape planting. And all of a sudden, homeowners started paying landscape companies to install and to maintain. Do the work for me. I don't want to do the work. You do it. And I'm going to pay you. And landscape companies, power to them, started saying, yes, I'm going to get on board. And they started making partnerships with you. But then an interesting thing happened. The landscape companies stopped hiring master gardeners. They started hiring people to put in plants who weren't gardeners. And it all came down to this. Master gardeners are expensive. The dollar per hour for a master gardener is significantly more than the dollar per hour for somebody with a shovel who can dig a hole. And the gardening started to look like this, mass plantings. And as garden centers, that was okay, because we could sell lots of volume in specific categories. Boxwoods, ship them out. Miscanthus, ho-ho. And we could start giving sales. You could buy 5, get 1 for free. And the landscape company said yes. And they started putting in bigger and bigger landscape mass plantings. But the selection of the plant material started getting smaller and smaller. Because what happened was the designers for the landscape company said, I want Hicks yew, 40 of them. I don't want a collection of Hicks yew and DeGroote cedar and something else. I just want all Hicks yew. So they'd buy all one type of plant. And the reason they did that, because the guys with the shovels knew how to look after one plant. So they paid them $16 an hour to put in one plant. And they sold it to the homeowners, and the homeowners went, I've got gardens. But really what they had was mass plantings. And these guys started taking over the industry. The landscape companies are hiring people who are efficient with tools, not with plants. And again, there are always exceptions, and I understand that, but we're talking big picture. I have met with so many landscape companies through Landscape Ontario saying, who's your garden designer? And they're like, oh, well, we don't really need one. We're just putting in big patios, and we'll put in some shrubs and some grass. And that's their consistent design. And the design software started to catch up. It made it easier to put in the big patios. The designs 15 years ago were so plant focused. Now they're so stone and deck focused. And there's a reason. What do landscape companies make money on? Flowers? Nope. Stone, pools, barbecues, fireplaces, everything that they can build for less or inexpensive labor and low-priced materials that they can sell for high-ticket prices. And we started seeing more front yards looking like that. And that became acceptable. Big lawn, floating edged flower beds, lots of evergreens, not intimidating, not scary. Homeowners are like, I can handle that. And again, the real estate company said, that is the perfect curb appeal. We don't make money from that. There's not any specialty plants, there's no wow factors, there's just kind of boring. The emphasis was more on the rocks in the front right corner than they are in the plant material. And the landscape companies kind of promoted that. Of course they did. What did they make money on? Selling you the service to cut your grass. Bigger lawns. And wasted space became outdoor living opportunities. And I was part of this movement for 10 years. I promoted the idea that your usable, or your backyard, which had no purpose other than the kids to play on it, could be usable space. We could put in a big patio. And it would be amazing, and I could sell you lots of furniture. And people went, yes, I want furniture. Over the last 10 years, the furniture in Canada has gotten bigger and bigger and bigger. Huge. And that's because people want bigger spaces, more usable space. And perennial collections went from landscape plantings right into outdoor rooms. This whole term, outdoor rooms, has been exploding the internet for the last 6 years. And the designs started to look like outdoor rooms. We started being able to show homeowners, this is what you're going to look like in your new backyard. We could give you a six-pack abs. That's exactly what, I mean, if you're going to have the fantasy, go for it. But where were the plants? The plants got smaller and smaller in flower pots. And the hot tub, woohoo! All of that for the bargain price of $16,000. And homeowners went, yeah, I'm in. And the plant budget on that $16,000 quote, about $500. Great. And the barbecue in the back and the pergola up top. The projects that we're seeing now in the GTA, on average, have gone from $25,000 to $50,000 starting prices for a majority of companies. Companies are actually saying, if you don't have $50,000 to invest, I'm too busy. And homeowners who are desperate to get their backyards done say, okay, let's do this. And banks said, great, we're going to give you a HELOC loan, home equity line of credit. You can borrow money from us to do that. Because the real estate companies say, great, put that in your backyard, your house is worth more now. And they all work together. And the homeowner goes, yes, that's great, I'm in. And the plants, again, kept being marginalized. There's a website that I like to go to. It's called house.com. Has anybody seen it? Have you been addicted like I have? Do you look at the pictures? Not addicted, you know? Yeah, I like that nod, yeah. House.com is a website for homeowners where designers and contractors can put their most beautiful pictures up so that you can look at them. And you can search by things like decks and patios. If you go onto House right now and look through their 9 million outdoor pictures, and you type outdoor backyard garden, this is one of the #1 pictures. How is that a garden? I have shown this picture to so many home shows, and everybody goes, oh, and they get all excited because they know exactly how they're going to use that. A roof, no rain, no snow, and I say, where are the plants? Everybody gets quiet. One woman said, oh, yeah, there's one right there. And I said, I'm pretty sure it's fake. It's under a roof. It's not doing well. But that is what's motivating homeowners today. They're excited about it. And that's a problem. This is another one. The outdoor kitchen. Wow. Buzzwords. That, to be priced out right now, $16,500. When we're talking about homeowners investing in their house, they see that price tag and their budget may have been $20,000 and they go, let's spend it on that. We'll worry about the other stuff later. I want that. I did a project this year with a company called Lynx Barbecues, and I know a lot of you may be familiar with it. Some carry it in their stores. Lynx Barbecues introduced a new line out of California, and the price for the insert, just the insert starting price, $25,000. And I said, there is no way. This is Canada. We barbecue 4, maybe 5 months a year. You're not going to sell as many as you think. But I'm on board. Let's see. So they brought them in through Appliance Canada. Last year, they sold $2.5 million worth of $25,000 barbecues to contractors, not to homeowners. Contractors were buying them to sell them to their homeowners, marking them up and selling them to their homeowners. And the homeowners were like, oh yeah, I can grill a steak in 7 seconds. And their landscaping budgets got bigger and bigger because of that. No plants, but that. And I work on CityLine. I do a lot on CityLine with Frank Ferragini, and we talk all the time about plants and all that sort of trying to promote that idea. And always the questions come back to, what about outdoor kitchens? What about water features and pergolas? It's the same conversation over and over again because that demographic is so focused on this. So what does HGTV do? Kills the garden shows and says, let's do these projects. Oh, who can do that? Brian Ballmer can do an outdoor barbecue like that. Great. Property Brothers. They can do that now. They're landscapers. And the gardening got smaller and smaller because the contractors are now building. outdoor spaces. And the viewers loved it. So that's what they wanted. And then the real estate shows came in and said, hey, this is a beautiful house, but look at this backyard. The value of this backyard to your home is X number of dollars. And people started to get excited. Love it or list it, Vancouver. They focus on the backyard, the front yard, because of things like that. And decks and patios got bigger and bigger, and gardens got smaller and smaller. Landscape Ontario has been doing a ton of stats, which is exciting for me because they're tracking this. They're tracking the type of installs that are going in. And I've had several conversations, and every year they say, gardening's getting smaller. And that scares me. It should scare you a little bit too. And this is a perfect example. This is a project that I did, where this was the original deck that was put in 17 years ago for this homeowner. And the homeowner never used the deck. It was too small. And they never used the backyard because those are for the kids. And then the kids left and they said, let's rip down the deck. We want to do something bigger. We want to make over the entire garden. So we put in a really big deck. And that's what they wanted. They wanted living space. And we put in beautiful patios and an artificial putting green. And we put in a total of 15 plants. 15. The real estate agent for this house called me about a month after we had finished and said, we're listing the house. It's like, oh. She's like, yeah, the kids are gone. They feel it's too big. They want to sell it. What was beautiful about this particular house is the real estate agent got everybody to come through the backyard first, down the side, and in through the backyard. So that was the first thing that the potential buyer saw. First thing. So the buyers all walked through this backyard and went in shock. Then they walked into the house. The real estate agent called me 7 days later and said, I sold the house. We set a new record in Ottawa. We went $118,000 over asking because of that backyard. Every single buyer commented specifically on that backyard and how perfect it would be just to move in and not have to do anything. You maintain that backyard with a leaf blower. That's not intimidating, and that's what buyers keep asking for. Less work, which is, again, scary for us. It doesn't show longevity in gardening. And I know I'm saying all doom and gloom, but it is going to get brighter shortly, I promise. Wait for it. Another scary stat for North America. 70% of all the surfaces installed in backyards today, concrete, pavers, flagstone, 70%. Everybody's going stone. And why are they going stone? Low maintenance. Yeah, low maintenance, that's pretty much the number one reason. They perceive stone as being less work. They can put it in once and walk away. And they don't have to deal with it. Decks, they think, oh, I'm going to have to strip it down in 7 years. I might have to stain it. Composite woods, they're growing. But again, there's lots of stuff behind them that homeowners are a little scared about. Stone, they get it. They want it. They're spending the money for it. This was one of the most downloaded images last year for house.com for backyard design. Wow. It is a concrete pad with a fire pit and a sectional. That's great, yeah. Doesn't give me a lot of confidence. But who's installing that? The builders. The home builders are installing that, not the landscapers even. So now we have the landscapers who cut out the gardeners, and the home builders are cutting out the landscapers. Great. And again, HGTV says, well, that's the trend. We should show more of that. So now that's what they do. Show more of that. I'm literally the last gardener standing on TV. I'm on the new show Home to Win 2, and they're like, yeah, we're going to put in a shed. And I said, but there's no gardening. They're like, well, yeah, but we're going to do that in February. I'm like, great. So the gardener on TV is putting in a shed in February. This is going to be fun. And plants have become contained. Again, you walk the show, look at the selection of planters. Every year it gets bigger and bigger. More homeowners are excited about the planters than they are about what's going into the planters. Costco, last year and the year before, introduced the bright red planter. I have a friend who's a buyer for Costco, and they said that bright red planter, huge sales. They blew out of these bright red planters because people didn't care about what went into the planter because the planter was the showstopper. I had a woman, and it's hard to see, but she was all excited. She said, Carson, you said to put everything in containers, so I did. So what she did was she filled her entire garden with containers. She put planters in the entire garden. Nothing's actually in the ground. And then I said, oh, what do your neighbors think about that? She's like, well, they're not really sure, but I love it. And I said, why? And she said, because every time something dies, I just pop it out. I go get something else for $10. I pop it in, and I'm done. I don't know that that's gardening. That's box store version of gardening. But that's what she loved. And we see more and more people investing in the containers versus the plant material. And the landscape companies went, great, how would I build you a container? You don't even have to buy pots, because I'm going to make money by building you that planter. In fact, I did this planter last year. The price of the planter, $6,500. And I said to the homeowner, what do you want to put in it? And they said, oh, I don't care. Look at the planter. It's beautiful. It's natural stone. It's gorgeous. And I'm like, but what's going in? Can we do some trees or something? No clue. And they spent $6,500 on the planter. And I know these homeowners. And I said, so? Do you love the beautiful birch that I put in and all the grasses and stuff? Oh, yeah, that's great. But you know what's really awesome? Everybody sits on the edge of the planter. It's the perfect height. And that's what they're focused on. They don't care about what went in. They care about the planter. And what we're seeing across the country are these situations that are being created by builders and designers. With all this stone, we're raising the ambient temperatures in our backyards. They're called urban heat islands. There's actually a study going on right now about these backyards. We're making our backyards 2 to 3 degrees warmer because we put in concrete and stone. Concrete and stone takes the sun, heats it up nice like a pizza oven, holds that heat all night long. And we start seeing more and more box stores carrying umbrellas and gazebos, shade structures. We now have outdoor evaporative air conditioners. I know, I've played with it and sold it to cool off people's backyards because they spent too much time heating them up with the patio stones. And again, do they make the connection that less plants means more heat? No, they haven't figured that part out yet. We keep talking about it, but they don't get it. So you have to help them understand. More plants cools your backyard. These urban heat islands, they're now showing across North America temperatures up to 10 degrees difference. So if somebody's standing in a backyard that's all paved, and then goes next door to a backyard that's grass, 10 degrees difference between the two yards in like the same neighborhood. If we all are doing this paving concrete 70%, what happens to our temperatures? They keep going up and up. So what about today? Now, I mentioned that there were 3 buying groups in the marketplace today, right now, that we know of, that we've identified. The first group are the baby boomers. I'd love to be able to show you the baby boomers, but you probably know them already. What we know with the baby boomers today is they're doing something that their parents never did. The baby boomers are selling off the bigger houses. They're cashing in. Areas like Oakville, Mississauga, the GTA, London, everywhere the big houses where the kids are gone, the boomers are saying, I'm out, sell it for money, I'm going to downsize. But I'm going to take some of that money, and some's going to go to my retirement plan, but some is going to go to my new house. And baby boomers were the gardeners. And they were a big population, big group. And they now want low maintenance spaces that include gardening. Good for us. The baby boomers are coming back in with new houses and new spaces and say, I want low maintenance, but I'm going to put in some perennials. I have my favorite list. So they're all of a sudden activating the gardening cycle. They're in. New houses, low maintenance. And they want outdoor rooms, but they want to incorporate plants into their outdoor room scenarios. All of a sudden, sunrooms and outdoor gazebos are booming again because the baby boomers have bought smaller houses with a smaller footprint, and they want to extend into the backyard. They are looking for spaces to entertain their new community. This is their new family, the neighborhood that they've chosen to move to, and they want outdoor spaces to entertain them. So they are going to buy comfortable furniture. They are investing in outdoor TV sets, which sounds crazy, but apparently outdoor TV sets for boomers, big win. They're investing in spaces to have the family over for weekends, but they still love their hobby gardening, so they're going to keep gardens. They are not investing in grass. We are seeing a decline in grass and lawn care in the baby boomer generation. They want less grass, so they're willing to put in bigger decks, and they want containers. Beautiful containers that they can manage and maintain on trolleys so they can put them away for the winter. They're gravitating towards these types of spaces. Less work, low maintenance, but still include their happy hobby, their happy space, which is gardening. Then we have Generation X. They were the problem kids. I'm part of this group, sorry. Generation X, the 40 to 50-year-olds, wanted outdoor escapes, and they wanted to maximize their space. And this group, more than any other buying group, is fixated on the value of their home. They want to know that every penny that they dump into their house is improving the home value. But this group is the first group that's ever come along and said, I want to spend $100,000 on my backyard, and haven't blinked about it. We're seeing backyards that look like this for the Generation X, where they're creating these outdoor escapes. And they're justifying it by saying, well, I'm not going to buy a cottage. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to invest everything in my backyard. And I'm going to create my own little escape in my backyard. This particular project cost $250,000. It is in downtown Toronto. They did have money. That's a big chunk of coin. And I know these homeowners, and I said, do the kids love the pool? Because they have 2 kids. And they went, well, yeah, they don't use it much. We send them away to summer camp every year. It's just like, you spent $250,000 and you're not using this space. And they said, well, this is our bedroom window. And every single morning, all spring, summer, fall long, we open our bedroom window to listen to this. Generation X values their backyard escapes. Their disappear into the backyard moments. On Friday, at the end of the day, instead of doing the 2-hour commute to the cottage, they're saying, I'm done. They kick off the shoes, they open the wine, and they go into the backyard. And they disappear. So they're spending money, but they're not doing it themselves. Generation X doesn't garden. Generation X pays somebody else to do the gardening for them. And they're only going to do it one time. Landscape companies should be paying attention to this, because Generation X is doing this once. They're not doing it in every single house. They're doing it one time. So if all these landscape companies who think they're going to look after and maintain Generation X homes, it's great, but your client base is going to keep getting smaller and smaller because they're not gardening. They're doing this. But there is hope. It's all been doom and gloom for you guys, and I feel so guilty, and there is hope. It is an exciting time for us because there is a whole new group of homeowners coming up that love gardening. These guys. Yeah, I know. It's hard to get excited about millennials some days, and this is one of those moments. Millennials, for whatever reason, love gardening. They want to do it themselves. I was invited to a Seedy Saturday. Is anybody familiar with that, what that is? Seed exchange? Absolutely. And I was like, oh, this is going to be a really sad day for me. And I know, I'm trying to picture what's going to be like, because it was in the bottom of a church. And I thought, oh, it's going to be my grandma and all of her friends just swapping plants. And I went to this Seedy Saturday, and I walked up to the front door, and the first person I saw, 26. She had a baby in the Bjorn. She was pushing a brand name stroller, I think Peg Perigo, which I was told afterwards is about $1,000. She had her Starbucks venti in one hand, her cell phone in the other, and her seeds. And I was just like, whoa, look at this. And she's like, I got beans. I'm like, that's great. She was excited that she got beans. I went down into this Seedy Saturday, and there's all the baby boomers giving their seeds to the millennials. And the millennials are running around going, I got skunk beans. And they're all excited, and they're talking heirloom tomatoes, and they're excited, and they're passionate about this. And I'm like, I've hit the promised land. Except, and there's a big except, millennials think they're going to garden in pallets, and they're going to garden in eaves troughs, and they're going to throw shoe containers up on the wall and garden in that. At least they're gardening, right? They don't have it quite figured out yet, which is where we come in. We get to help this whole new generation grow plants, and they're excited about it. And when it comes to houses, millennials are just starting. They're just starting. In the last 2 years, we're starting to see a big push. But here's the exciting part about millennials. We now know from a population scale, you take all the millennials, and you count them up. You take all the boomers and you count them up. And you take all Generation X and you add Generation X to the boomers, and it just equals the volume of millennials. Millennials, population-wise, exceeds boomers and Generation X. And guess what they want to do? They want a garden. This is good. Big news ahead for all of us, right? The trick is, these 20 and 30-year-olds value curb appeal. And I laughed when Century 21 said, yeah, when we tested millennials, they care about curb appeal. I'm like, how do millennials care about curb appeal? And then the light bulb went off. What's the first thing any millennial does when they buy anything? Out comes the cell phone. And they take a selfie. I bought that. They care about the front of the home more than any other reason to buy a house. The character of their home is their #1 motivating reason to buy a house. Not location, not price, the character of the home. And I thought, that's crazy. How can location not impact them? Because the millennial generation is technologically savvy. They are working from home 3 or 4 days a week, going into the office 1 day a week, and they're doing it all online. So that's why they care about their home. And they care about the appearance of their home. And guess what they don't like? They don't like grass. Millennials want plants in the front yard. Wow. And not all one plant. They want lots of plants. They want collections. It's exciting. And they also want backyard vegetables, which is great because it's the bug. Gets them digging in the soil. It gets them playing. So the truth is, their front yards look like that. Gorgeous character homes that they're renovating themselves, and they're doing this all online, and Pinterest is exploding with all these ways to DIY stuff. And their backyards look like that because they have no clue. And they've got vegetables growing out of everything. And they think it's amazing, which is great for us, provided we take that group and we educate them to the way that they're going to succeed. We want to keep them excited about gardening. Because right now they're in. They're in. 100% they're in. I posted a blog spot yesterday on canning, freezing, and dehydrating. And it's been picked up by 17 hipster publications already. Canning, freezing, and dehydrating. All about the garden. Millennials are our new customers. They want it. There's a key, though. This is one of the newest, hottest apps on iPhone right now. It's the garden design on the graph paper. Millennials are downloading this to plan their gardens. We're back to all the way where we were before. They're designing these individual gardens based on plants. Not a patio or a deck to be seen on this app. Not one. And we've gone literally from vegetable gardens to perennial collections to landscape plantings to container gardenings to right back where the boomers started 15 years ago. And HGTV noticed it. And they said, hey, we should do some shows on gardening. And they asked me in. And I said, that's great, let's do some shows. Oh, wait. Millennials don't watch TV. Good luck with that. So now everybody's doing shows on gardening on YouTube. In fact, gardening has just surpassed 10 million individual blogs in North America. 10 million. And it's all young people gardening. And HGTV, I still work with them. I still consult with them, but I said, you missed the boat, guys. Sorry. So we're not going to see gardening on TV anymore. But does it really matter? Because now you can control the content like never before. You don't need me to do a gardening television show. You can do your own. And we're starting to see garden centers produce content based on information targeting millennials. How to build a planter. How to plant a shade garden. And these things are bringing in customers. Millennials are excited. They want to learn this. And there's no other source for them to go but the internet. And anybody can control the internet. The key to gardening, though, really making a comeback, isn't just that the millennials are excited about it. There is a true key to this, because at this point, millennials aren't thinking far enough ahead. We know as homeowners that you have to think ahead because you're not going to be in your house the rest of your life. You're probably going to sell it once or twice. And Generation X has figured it out, and the boomers have figured it out. Millennials, they're not there yet. So the key is we have to show the millennials how to have balance between the plant material and the living spaces. We have to show them how to incorporate collections of plants in spaces to not only reduce the heat from the urban heat islands, to improve the home value, but also so that they still love plants. You see, millennials, more than any other group, wants to teach their children about gardening. They want to have bees and chickens to show their kids how to have bees and chickens and to provide healthy food for their families. Let's show them how to do it. This is the key. This is the new infusion of energy that we've all been waiting for, because Generation X has been a dry spell. It's going to get better. It's going to get better, and we're all going to do really well. Just know who your customer is. It's a baby boomer walking through the door, maybe the landscape company for Generation X, maybe the millennial. The more you know about what their needs are and what their desires are and where they're going in life, the better you are at keeping that customer right there. Because if you can keep a millennial loyal to you, they will be loyal for the next 10 to 15 years based on all the research components. And that is exactly what you want to hear. Spaces have to have balance. They have to look good and still be functional. And if we can give them that, we win. They win, we win, the real estate company wins, the bank wins, everybody that we wanted to be partnered with wins. And if you can get everybody winning, what could go wrong? It's my favorite design. This is the first room to grow makeover I ever did. And I was talking at the time on that episode about creating balance between trees and patios. We've come full circle, because I had a client ask me to do this less than 2 weeks ago. Trees and a patio. Thanks, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this presentation.